Hello, welcome to Vinyl Grandad, Thoughts and Feelings, Ep.4. And this is basically where I take you through my record collection. I talk about the music in some areas specifically, but it's really about the stories surrounding that for me, the way it's changed my life, and those sort of things. So anyway, we'll get to it. I'm talking about 10 by Westside Gunn today. Incredible album. I will obviously be speaking about this, but I will be speaking about Griselda as a whole and the way that they have changed hip-hop, the way that they have changed my life and many others through the work that they've done. So the first thing that I'm going to do is, let's just have a little look at the cover first. So we got Westside Flip on the front. This guy is, what I know about him is that he's a one-legged guy from Buffalo that Westside Gunn has an affinity for. And he does have a few verses as well. They're never studio recorded. It always sounds like a phone recording that someone's taken in the street and sent it in. And that adds a bit of character to his verses. But you can see him on there with all Westside Gunn's jewellery. The MF Doom chain is absolutely insane. But you got this on the back, literally just the X for the fact that it's number 10 in the series of Hitler Wears Hermes. And then all the tracks and feature list, and then the vinyl is literally just a black vinyl, so you know what that looks like. So just a little brief history lesson when we go into this. So when people think of Griselda, there are a load of other people that you can add on to this, and we'll go through them while I'm talking about the music, but they're thinking of Westside Gunn, this man who's made this album. He is a curator. He is obviously a rapper. But he just has his hand in everything. He chooses all the beats. He does all the album artwork. He does all the merch. He gets all the best people on his albums to create these amazing compilations, these amazing curations, these pieces of art, which I appreciate so much. We've got Benny the Butcher, who, straight rapper, same with Conway the Machine. So they're the main three when you're talking about Griselda. Hitler Wears Hermes 1. That dropped in 2012. And the growth for Westside Gunn and Griselda since 2012 to now has been absolutely insane. The impact that they've had, the people that they've worked with, the albums they've created has just really brought back this feeling. So people talk about this feeling in the 90s. I was born after these albums came out, so I don't know that feeling. I didn't have that feeling. I wasn't there when Illmatic came out. I wasn't there when Ready to Die came out. I wasn't there when Doggy Style came out. When Low End Theory, all these things. I never got that feeling. Obviously, I've listened to them since and absolutely love it and get it from that perspective, but I never lived through it. And it was always sort of this magic thing that everybody talks about, this giant in the hillside. This and the Griselda albums were that for me. When I heard Tanner Talk 3 by Benny the Butcher, when I heard Pray for Paris by Westside Gunn, I got that feeling like, wow. It's actually indescribable. I can't put it into words. You just know that what is happening is special and that you just got to listen to it, live through it and enjoy the moment, because it's an absolute moment in time that will be remembered forever. And that is how many people, along with myself, feel about a lot of these albums. From Hitler Wears Hermes 1 to 10, you got Pray for Paris. You got a million others. I'll do a lot of reviews on these, but today it's the thoughts and feelings. So if you haven't already told, or if you can't already tell, sorry, I'm a big Westside Gunn fan. This being the finale, so number 10. So let's just talk a little bit about the music then before I go into further stories and stuff like that. But if you're talking about producers, on here, we've got RZA, we've got The Alchemist, we've got Pete Rock, we've got Conductor Williams. If you know your hip-hop, you know the names that I'm mentioning now are absolute legends, and it's crazy that he's got them on here. That's, production. I'm probably missing people off here. Denny LaFleur, Swizz Beatz, don't even know how I missed him off there. In terms of the features, if we're talking about old school, we've got Black Star, the two-man group of Talib Kweli and Mos Def, but now Yasin Bey. We've got Raekwon, Ghostface Killer, Run the Jewels. Just, yeah, all absolute legends. And that is one of the biggest things about the curations of the Hitler Wears Hermes series, is that he shines a light on these artists that have already got their own established legendary status, but he just keeps illuminating their presence while they may not be in their highest form of relevance. Nowadays, obviously, as legendary as you might be, if you were rapping 20 years ago, 99% of people from that era, apart from Nas right now, Jesus Christ. Anyway, we'll get into all the King's Disease series and that on a later episode, I promise you. But 99% of these artists are just doing them. They're sitting there in their legendary status. They're probably still making music, but they're just not as relevant as they used to be, naturally. But Westside Gunn is bringing them all, and they're all giving great performances on everything they're doing, and he's giving a light to all these people, Pete Rock, etc. That I just think it's so important to do. It's so important that people realise the start of hip hop and up to that. It's absolutely fine to be into everything new. And do you know what? It's actually fine to never listen to it. It's fine to never go back. But in my personal opinion, I just think when you do, and when you delve back into all the classics, you end up with this whole newfound appreciation for what is now. You only got to now because of the previous, and you understand how everything got to where it was, and you just get a broader appreciation and scope for hip hop as a whole. Probably my favourite, and that is my favourite genre. By far. So, Westside Gunn himself, actually rapping, he's always said that he's not the best rapper. That's not his aim. His aim is not to go bar for bar with everybody that's on his album. He is the curator. He is the person that chooses all the beats, gets all the best features, all the best production, and he is there as part of the art piece that it is. And that is what Griselda and Westside Gunn do. They create actual art. Even just from the vinyl, like, when this goes on resale, it is hundreds. At the early Hitler Wears Hermes vinyl are like over 1,000 easy. Like, you're not getting anything under that unless you get an absolute steal and an idiot that's put it up too low, because it's worth more than that on the market. And that's hard to do. To create this product with limited availability, causing the high price, because you have to make people want it. And it's because of the effort and the style and the lifestyle that he's putting across. And he's bringing back that feeling from the 90s that I was just talking about. It's the boom bap, it's the dirty, the grimy from Buffalo. But there's this modern twist and this freshness to it, this breath of fresh air at the same time. It's the contrast of the two that just makes it such a special thing. And let's talk about the fact that they're from Buffalo, because there's this whole thing about if you're not from one of the main boroughs in New York, it's hard to break through, right? That's sort of just a stereotypical vibe when you're trying to make it as a rapper in New York, it seems. And all Buffalo had up until Westside Gunn and Griselda was basically Rick James. And that was a long time ago. So they were all sort of coke dealers, street life, etc. in Buffalo. They've been rapping since early 2000s. No, since the 90s. They've been rapping since the 90s. And the fact that they just kept going. And in around 2015, they picked up a little bit of traction. But obviously, ever since then, you know, after COVID especially, they've really blown. That they just kept going up until that time. And they were living this street life for so long. And they had so many stories. And the whole movement of Griselda kept working, kept pushing. And they ended up at this point where now they'd almost be considered mainstream. And that inspired me so much and gave me a never give up attitude, in the sense that you just got to keep doing you, and eventually that will pay off. You've just got to have consistent hard work, and you've got to be patient. And that is so important. And they are just the absolute epitome of that. And it's bigger than the music. They are bigger than music. They are an absolute example for life and how to stick by what you believe in, what you love, until you receive those flowers that you deserve. And that is just such a cool thing. And yeah, that sort of talking like this now, I'm realising the reason that I'm doing this and the reason I'm not talking about each intricate song, I'm just trying to get across that everything surrounding these albums and my record collection is bigger than music. It is about the way that it affects your life and helps you to move forward in your life. Don't get me wrong, listening to the albums is the best thing I've ever experienced. But you still need to move through and grow and progress while listening to these albums. And if they can help you do that, then you're listening to the right music. And your taste is in the right place. Westside Gunn has the fashion side of things. GXFR, Griselda by Fashion Rebels, is what he started out doing before he even touched music. It was about fashion first. And then the music came later. And then they sort of just merged into the two. So obviously his merch, just saying, the Liz hoodie here, it's really nice. It's very solid. But the mixture of the two, it's just so fly is the only word really you can use for it. And everything just sounds so glossy, but grimy. And it's that typical thing. Every music reviewer, like basically, it's the care package. If you say one thing, it's dark, yet it's light. It's grimy, yet it's glossy. It's the stereotypical thing, but for this, it is just so true. And I can't really describe it in any other way. His ad-libs are second to none. The bo 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 bo. If you haven't heard that, go and listen to the album and just hear it about 100 million times. You might hate it at first. I wasn't even the biggest fan of it when I first heard it, but now I love every single Westside Gunn verse. He actually doesn't have a bad song. For me, there might be like one over like 100 albums, but I don't know. He's just that person for me that just whatever he puts out I like. And I'm trying not to be biased about it, but I just keep liking his music. I can't help it. It's just the way it is. My personal journey with him. So I heard Pray for Paris first in 2020. The reason being for that, I think, is because it had people like Tyler the Creator, Joey Badass, Freddie Gibbs. So like a lot of modern hip-hop artists were on there. And obviously I saw them and I thought, well, I have to listen to this. And at first, I'm not going to lie to you, I thought, yeah, this is good. Like, I really like some of these songs, but I wasn't like blown away. But something was interesting about it enough for me to keep going back. And then I realised that they released 4 million albums before Pray for Paris came out, between Benny the Butcher, Conway the Machine, and Westside Gunn. And all these albums are absolutely insane, and they're rapping at the absolute highest level. The production is ridiculous. It knocks so hard. It gives you that feeling, the grimy Buffalo, New York feeling. And that is intoxicating. And that has brought me to just listen almost every single day to Griselda since that moment. And when you get that much content to delve through, and they put out so many albums so frequently, they are slowing down a bit now, but slowing down only by their standards. They're still putting out multiple records a year. It's just like this world that you get into and you can sit in for so long because there's so much content, and it's absolutely amazing. And if you haven't heard any of Westside Gunn, then I really recommend that you go and check him out and go listen to all his albums because they're absolutely insane. Now, I've rambled on quite a lot here, and I've sort of just been a nerd for about 15 minutes, and that's absolutely fine, and that's what I'm here to do. But there are a few more people, apart from the main three that I've mentioned, that I think we should shout out here. So, we've got Stove God Cooks. He is one of the most individual artists I've heard in the last 5 years. His style is so unique. He has a lot of melodic singing that he puts in with the raps, but then he's also just straight rapping as well. So much personality. Basically rapping about cocaine all the time, but I don't care. I can't get enough of that. For whatever reason, coke rap is my favourite genre of rap, and I could listen to them talking about whipping the pot and all the rest of it all day. Why that is, maybe it's so far from my life that it just seems like a movie in a sense, but just shout out to him. The Reasonable Drought, Go and listen to that album. Can't wait for his new one. Who have we got? Rome Streets. I'll do a review on Kiss the Ring. Kiss the Ring by Rome Streets is one of my favourite albums in a long time. He's just relentless with the way that he delivers raps. Like, he's just going and going and going and going and going. There's no breaks, there's no breaths, and it's just for the whole album. And he is versatile though as well in the type of song that he's making. He's got the love song, he's got the coke rat songs, he's got whatever you want. It's on there. But go listen to Kiss the Ring. Este Nap. Oh, I've got the record over there. What was the album called, man? Naxor Jim Duggan. That was it. Go listen to that. Again, crazy individual style. Do you know what? The whole of these lads, just all of them, I think everyone signed to Griselda. Go on Google, type in Griselda. All the artists that come up related are some of the most individual artists you'll hear. They all have their own style. It's actually amazing music. Nowadays, in mainstream hip hop, it is sort of crashing into this one area where there's a lot of similar sounding things. And that is so... I mean, it is vinyl granddad. It's a very granddad thing to say. But I just think it is so true that there is like a lack of individual artists on the mainstream scale. If you want to hear good music, yeah, I don't care what anyone says about the state of music or the state of hip hop. There is good music out there all the time. You can go and find it. You can go and hear people being their true selves at all times. But the mainstream state of hip hop, it's a lot. It's a lot to take in. It's pretty dry. I love a lot of mainstream artists, but if we're just talking about the scene as a whole, especially this year, there hasn't been too much coming out that it's been absolutely insane. But anyway, I think I'm just gonna end it there for now. I'll do reviews of all the records from Griselda. I can't wait to go into them. It'll be so fun. But I think I've ranted enough now about this. And look, I'm only here to try and rant about these artists, so you go and listen to them, and you can have similar experiences, and you can learn more, and you can be a nerd, just like me, when going through all these albums. So I hope I've inspired someone to do that. Peace.